Sound of gentle forest ambiance, birds chirping. There once was a man named Kale, who lived on the edge of a vast emerald green jungle. Now, Kale wasn't a bad man, not really, but he had a peculiar trade. Every morning, just as the sun would spill its golden light through the canopy, he'd venture deep into the heart of the forest. He knew all the secret paths, the ancient trees where the most magnificent parrots gathered. Sound of a net swooshing, a parrot squawking in distress. He was an expert trapper. With a swift flick of his net, he'd capture these beautiful creatures. Parrots with feathers like jewels, macaws painted in fiery reds and brilliant blues. He'd take them home not to admire them, but to lock them away in small, cold metal cages. The birds, who once soared freely under an endless sky, would now beat their wings against iron bars, their vibrant colors looking dull in the shadows of his workshop. His workshop was always filled with a cacophony of desperate cries, but Kyle had learned to tune it out. To him, it was just the sound of business. Every week, he'd load the cages onto his cart and take them to the bustling city market. Sound of a busy market, people haggling. Beautiful birds. Straight from the jungle, he'd shout. People would gather around, mesmerized by the colors. They'd pay a good price to own a piece of the wild, never thinking about the sky the bird had lost. Kale would return home with a heavy pouch of coins, feeling successful, well, he didn't really stop to think about how he felt. The money was good, and that was enough. This was his life, a simple, profitable, and lonely cycle. One sweltering afternoon, after a particularly successful trip to the market, Kale returned to his workshop to store his equipment. The room was stuffy and dark. As he was putting away his nets, a sudden, powerful gust of wind slammed the heavy oak door shut. Sound of a heavy door slamming shut, a lock clicking. Click. The old rusty lock on the outside, the one he always meant to fix, had fallen into place. He was trapped. "Hey, hello?" he yelled, his voice swallowed by the thick walls. He rattled the doorknob, it wouldn't budge. He threw his shoulder against the door. Nothing. The only window was high up on the wall, barred with iron. The very same iron he used for his cages. Hours turned into a day, and a day turned into two. The initial annoyance twisted into a raw, gnawing panic. The silence was the worst part. He was completely alone. No, wait, not completely. In the corner of the workshop sat a single forgotten cage. Inside was a small green parrot he hadn't taken to market, its wings slightly injured. For the first time, Kyle truly saw the bird. He watched it hop from one perch to another in its tiny prison. He saw it look out the barred window, its little head cocked as if listening for the songs of its flock. It didn't squawk or cry. It just existed, trapped, silent, waiting. And in that moment, Kale saw himself. He was in a cage, just a larger one. He felt the same suffocating helplessness, the same desperate yearning for the world outside. The air grew thick. The walls seemed to close in, and the silence was a crushing weight. He looked at the parrot, and the parrot looked back at him, its dark, intelligent eyes holding a reflection of his own despair. A profound, gut-wrenching realization washed over him. The cries of the birds he'd sold, the sounds he had ignored for so long, came rushing back. They weren't just noise, they were pleas. They were cries for freedom, the same freedom he was now so desperately craving. He slumped against the wall, and for the first time since he was a small boy, Kyle cried. He wept for the bird in the cage, for the hundreds of birds he had sold, and for the man he had become. On the third day, a neighbor, worried by his absence, came looking for him and managed to pry the old lock open. Sound of a lock being forced open, the door creaking. The moment the door swung open, Kyle didn't rush out. He walked slowly to the small cage, his hands trembling. He fumbled with the latch and opened the little door. The green parrot hesitated, then hopped onto his finger. He carried it outside into the brilliant sunshine. He lifted his hand, and with a thankful chirp, the bird took flight, soaring toward the jungle, towards home. Kale didn't even hesitate. He hitched his cart, but this time he didn't load it with traps. He raced to the city market, his heart pounding with a new purpose. He found the stall where he'd sold his last batch of birds. He took out every last coin he had. "I'll buy them all back," he told the bewildered merchant. Every single one. One by one, he opened the cages. A whirlwind of color and joyous sound erupted into the sky above the city. Red, blue, yellow, green. A feathered rainbow reclaiming its freedom. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the birds circled once, then flew as one back towards the jungle. Kale stood there, his pockets empty, but his heart fuller than it had ever been. He had lost his livelihood, but he had found his humanity. And as he watched the last bird disappear over the horizon, he finally understood. Freedom isn't something you can own or sell or put in a cage. It's the song the world sings, and it's meant for everyone to hear.